Hola, mi amor. ¿Tú vas a ir a la escuela? ¿Vas a ir a la escuela? Yeah. Are you going to school? Yep. So we are starting preschool.
Welcome back to Mommies of Jen. I'm Samantha.
And I'm Vanessa.
And we make videos on how to teach, love, and care for your kids. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell to get more videos like this.
Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about transitioning to preschool. Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Exciting.
Yay.
She turned when 3. You were pregnant.
I know, can you imagine?
Time flies, guys.
Yeah, so she turned 3 last week, and one of the big things that we are getting ready for now is preschool. So we went to the preschool just to see what is expected of her. I didn't have this worry with Noah because Noah was in daycare since he was 3 months. Jade, on the other hand, has been at home for the first 3 years, and now she is going to make that big transition. So separation anxiety is a big one. So to avoid all of that separation anxiety, we've created a list of tips just to make her transition a lot smoother. Yeah. So the very first one would be to visit the preschool, visit the grounds, and just get them excited.
Yep. Yeah, so actually a lot of the tips that you mentioned, you said that Noah was in daycare since he was 3 and 3 months old, and a lot of the tips that you mentioned about choosing a preschool also apply for when thinking about the daycare that you're going to put your baby in, because some of us do have to put our babies in daycare from a really young age.
So going back to visiting the playgrounds, I'm sorry, not the playground, but the grounds of the preschool, it's just so that they can become familiar with the area, right? And you can use this time to have a conversation with them. I know they're 3, but they understand quite a lot. So you want to have a conversation, you want to take them to their little playground if they have one. You want to walk the hallways, you want to get them excited, you want them to look at the classrooms, you may even want them to meet the staff. So maybe if you speak to the director of the program, you can plan maybe 2 or 3 visits before the start of the year. They probably have summer programs running, and just so that she can become familiar, or he can become familiar with the area.
Yeah, and that's something that Omar and I talked about before I went back to work, which was bringing Ethan to the babysitters so that he can, which is honestly just like a second grandmother to him, and just for him to get used to being with someone else, for mommy and daddy not being around, getting used to the space that he's going to be in, be in all day, just so he could be comfortable, and also that parents can be comfortable knowing that they are somewhere safe and fun.
So along the lines of visiting the grounds of the new preschool, you may want to ask them if they are offering any classes prior to them starting preschool. So we recently signed her up for 2 days a week for a little fitness class that they have going on there, and a little like preschool class where they do arts and crafts. So every Wednesday and every Thursday we're taking her. And again, this is just to make the transition smoother, right? This way she gets to know the building, this way she gets to know the staff, and hopefully when we bring her in September, it's going to be a little easier for her. So tip number 2 would be to practice separation. And how do you do this? This is one of the things that I'm actually doing right now. You leave her with your sister if you have a sibling or a brother. You can leave her with grandma, or you leave her with a friend for just maybe 1 or 2 hours, so that they can get a little bit detached. And in that detachment, they'll learn that you leave, but eventually you come back. So separation is key, so that when they do start preschool, they already know that you're dropping them off, but eventually you're gonna come back.
Yeah, and not only practice for them, practice for you.
Oh, I know.
It's really, really hard, especially if you have the younger ones. I know that Omar's gonna kill me for saying this, but he did the first drop off for the babysitters when I went back to work, and he teared up, he cried. If you're watching this, sorry baby. Yeah, so it's parents.
Men are softies.
Yeah, parents need practice also in that separation, and knowing that it's okay. This is time that we need to take, and it's actually beneficial for my family to be away for a certain amount of time, and that it will be okay and we will be back together soon.
Tip number 3, just so that your child can have a smoother transition, is to get them practicing on specific independent skills. Things like eating alone. The director of the program told me that she has to be able to eat completely by herself. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm already feeding her snacks that I'm going to be sending so that she doesn't have a hard time eating on her own. Another one is using the potty by herself. I don't know how involved the staff is. That's actually a question that I'm gonna have for them once I go to orientation. But she's been practicing, you know, pulling her little underwear down and trying to bring her clothes. She's been trying to practice wiping. You know, it's a very hard thing for a 3-year-old to do. And again, I don't know how involved the staff is, and I also don't know how involved I would like the staff to be in that in that potty training. You have to be very careful with your kids. But that is a skill that I've been practicing, and also vocalizing. Right, just expressing how she feels, whether she's feeling hungry, whether she's feeling thirsty, whether she's a little sleepy. She needs to be able to vocalize these things so that she can have clear communication with her teacher.
And Vanessa, whenever you're talking about Jade and where she is and how you're preparing her to be independent in this stage, I'm always thinking about Ethan, as you know, and you mentioned that you're practicing with her feeding herself and having snacks by herself. And Ethan, he just started solids. Now he's going to be 8 months, but very soon. But he started solids at 6 months, and I started introducing finger foods to him. So with his purees, I always give him one thing to hold, or finger food that he can hold, so he can practice feeding himself as well, so that he can practice and already get a head start at having those independent skills himself.
Absolutely. So our next tip is to get a head start on your routine. You do not want to put your child to bed at 7 p.m. if all summer long they have been going to bed at 9 or 10 p.m. I'm guilty of keeping my kids up late during the summer, but I am aware that 3 weeks prior to her starting preschool, I'm gonna have to put my routine in full swing and transition her into an earlier bedtime, into an earlier wake up. One of the things that I have already been doing though is that my mornings look exactly the same every day as they will come September, because once the kids are into that routine, I have to. So I'm not only prepping Jade, I'm also prepping Noah. And I'm having this conversation with him on a daily basis. And I always tell him, just this morning, I said, Noah, you have to be very independent this September, because I'm gonna be getting 2 kids ready to go to school. So I'm gonna need full cooperation from you as the big brother. And I've been telling her, oh, we're gonna get ready for school. She's not very happy about it, but
she's not happy about it yet.
I know, but you know, at least our routine will look very similar, and this will help, you know, help her just transition smoothly.
I kind of differentiate in my head between routine and schedule, and that's one of the things that happened to me after hours of Googling and feeling guilty about not having a schedule with a newborn. And then I told myself, okay, I finally figured it out. There's a difference between routine and schedule. So a routine is a set things that you do, a ritual that you do with the kids in the same order or likely order, and a schedule is time bound. So a routine doesn't have to be time bound, but a schedule does have to be time bound. So those things that you could already have
your sleep schedule. Stick to that.
That's a schedule, right? So that routine that you have, that morning routine, you have the same routine every morning, but once you're getting closer and closer to going back to work, going back to school, that's when you want to introduce the schedule in, so that the time can be not such a shock to the system.
So our next tip is to get them excited about preschool. I have been singing a little song that I made up to Jade that talks about her going to school with her lunch bag and with her backpack. and she's not happy about it. But recently she started singing along. So at least now I know that if she's singing along, maybe we've started to create a little level of excitement there. We also started reading books about how big girls go to school. So you may want to find a book that relates to your child about them going to school. And just getting them overall excited, you know, having those conversations. She has a big brother. She knows that he goes to school. So I constantly tell her, oh my God, you're going to be just like Noah. You're going to go to school. Yeah. So excitement is a big, big, big part of it.
Yeah, and my best friend, she always did this with her nieces every year. When they bought new notebooks, they would have a decorating their notebooks session at home where they decorate their notebooks and make it fun and personalize it so they feel like they have something personalized to bring to school.
Yeah, especially the 3-year-olds. I can't wait to take her to buy her little book bag and just to buy her lunch bag.
Stickers and color, whatever it is, to make that feel personal. Yeah.
So our next item on the list is to practice expressing feelings. You know, does she feel sad? Does she feel happy? Is she scared? That just goes along with what we mentioned before, vocalizing. I really need her to know what her feelings are like. So we're reading a lot of books about feelings now, just so that she can be able to express to mommy or to daddy or to even the teachers at the preschool how she feels.
Yeah, that's so important. One of the things that I always remind my students, and they're in the 8th grade, is that you have to advocate for yourself. Yeah. You're the biggest advocate for yourself. And when you enter a space like school, where students are taught that they need to listen to the adults, which they do, there still needs to be space for them to be able to speak up for themselves and the things that they're feeling and the things that are happening to them. Absolutely. So make sure to reinforce that skill within them so that they feel like they can speak up.
So that brings us to a topic that I'm not very happy about bringing up, but it's the safety concern. Yeah. And I have done this from a very early age with both of my kids. And it's about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Again, along the lines of being an advocate. I clearly tell my 3-year-old, even though she may not understand, she knows what her privates are. And I tell her that no one is allowed to touch her privates. And I say it very, firmly. And sometimes she looks at me and she gets a little scared, but I tell her, you say no. No me toques. Or I tell her, if somebody wants to kiss you, whether they kiss you in the mouth or someone kissing you on the cheek, I said, no teacher, nobody is allowed to teach you and touch you or kiss you. And the reason why I say this is because unfortunately, we have seen story after story of daycare providers or preschool providers that are not taking care of our children the way they should be. So that is a very honest conversation that I have with both my kids. I tell Noah that all the time as well. But even my 3-year-old, believe it or not, even though she doesn't know what's going on, at least I know that she's listening to it. So when, God forbid, something were to happen, that she can somehow advocate or speak up. I don't know, that is just what I do as a parent, because my mom did that with me. Yeah,
and as you can see on this channel, we really believe that there is never too young to start building skills. This is something that we want to make sure that just is the norm that our children are brought up in, especially things like their values, and speaking up for themselves and knowing that their bodies are their bodies is something that we want to make sure that they know.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that it works because when Noah was in pre-K, so I want to say a little year older than Jade, I had already started the same conversations that I talked to Jade about. And a friend of mine asked me if she could take Noah on a little day trip with her son who was celebrating a birthday, and he wasn't going to have a big birthday party. He was just allowed to choose one friend, and they were going to go bowling, and then they were going to go to Toys R Us, and they were going to pick a toy, and that was going to be the birthday celebration. So I was hesitant because I trust no one. No one. I make that very clear to my family. I make it very clear to my kids that they are to trust no one. But I let him go because it's a close friend of mine. And at some point in their play date, I got a call from my friend. And she said, I just want to make something very clear, Vanessa. We were here at the bouncy place and Noah asked me to go to the bathroom, so I took him and I went to help him unbutton his shorts so that, you know, he was 4.
Yeah.
And he immediately stopped her in her tracks and he told her, you don't touch me. So she felt the need that she needed to call me and clarify that she wasn't trying to touch him, that she was trying to help him with the zipper. But that brought me a little ease that he kind of knew to stop an adult in his tracks so that they wouldn't go beyond a certain boundary. And I even go as far as saying things like, no one pays you with candy for a kiss. No one gives you a toy for a kiss. No one plays silly little games. I just read in the news the other day that there was this daycare provider who used to play the silly private parts game. And he would make children touch each other. And you know what? Because of all these stories, this is the number one important thing that you need to get out of this video. Talk safety. No matter how young, they are not, nobody is allowed to touch. No other little friend is allowed to touch or kiss them. That is something that you have to make very, very clear.
Again, this is not something we want to be bringing up, but something very important because we see it too much on television, and it's just something unfortunate that's still relevant today. And we still, as long as it's something that we still need to talk about, we will talk about it here.
Yep. So there you have it. Those are our tips for getting your child ready for preschool. Please comment below. Let us know what you think. How do you feel about what we just talked about? Is that something that you're willing to bring up with your 3-year-old or maybe even your 4-year-old or just even your older children? Please comment below, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so that you can continue to get more videos like this.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.